Alright, let's see. 1973 border skirmish. So, known and designated as Samita, or in Arabic meaning quiet, skirmish, however, the proper border post in reference was the Shamita, as it refers to a northern border area post on the Kuwaiti border with Iraq. Accordingly, the skirmish was designated as such. So, Shamita is Arabic for quiet, but Shanita is the actual border post. So I guess it's like tongue-in-cheek words, I guess. Now, on the 26th of December 1972, Kuwait sent a delegation of members of the National Assembly of Kuwait to Iraq. The Kuwaiti delegation met with Saddam Hussein, then Deputy President of Iraq at the time. So that's me. I won't invade your country yet. What do you say? I say, come, please visit our country. There's much to discuss yet. And discuss the border demarcation between Kuwait and Iraq and the need to resolve this conflict. The Kuwaiti delegation also met with Iraqi President Hamid Hassan al-Baraka, or al-Baka, and that is actually Saddam Hussein's uncle, I believe, who assured members of the delegation that the border situation would be resolved. Accordingly, on the 26th of February 1973, another Kuwaiti delegation headed by Sheikh Shaba al-Hama al-Jaba al-Shaba, then Kuwaiti Minister of Foreign Affairs, visited Iraq and remained there until the 2nd of March 1973. Yes, I need one of those things that you put on the desk, you know, the big things you put on the desk when you're meeting somebody. He needs like a long one of those, let me tell you, or he has to abbreviate his name so hard. Now, Kuwaiti and Iraqi authorities conducted several meetings in which Iraqi authorities claimed that Wahaba Island and Bibiyan Island were part of Iraq due to their importance as major water canals for trade of Iraq and significant geopolitical strategic points. In response, the visiting delegation stated that Kuwait would not cede any of its territory, and if the territory was needed for joint economic development purposes, then Kuwait would spare no effort in realizing such an endeavor, advancing exclusively humanitarianism through a concession from the Emir of Kuwait within the formalization of a just mission approach and the following and the finalization of the border demarcation. All that was done in one day. As the Kuwaiti delegation was set to leave Iraq on the 3rd of March 1973, what? But you just got here! The Iraqi government proposed an agreement between Kuwait and Iraq which would enhance the capabilities of Iraq and expanding trade through Kuwait. The Kuwaiti delegation was willing to cooperate as long as its territories were not compromised unjustifiably though. In response, the government of Iraq and the leadership at the time withdrew their proposal and started applying pressure to the government, right? In the meantime, and due to the history of restraint and calm disputes, especially in the Middle East, yeah, I know, but for this time period, yeah. Kuwait border posts were rotated between soldiers of the Kuwaiti Armed Forces and the Kuwaiti Police. On the 20th of March 1973 at 0300 hours, or basically 3 o'clock in the night, a crisis occurred between Kuwait and Iraq based on the land demarcation that Iraq was claiming. Units of the Iraqi military advanced to a Kuwait border police station posting, secured by members of the Kuwaiti border guard patrol and stuff, and asked the border guards to vacate the premises. When the officers in charge refused, Iraqi forces attacked the lightly guarded border posts. The border guard troops held their ground and battled the heavily armored Iraqi forces through the night and into the morning. The skirmish wounded several and claimed the lives of the first lieutenant in charge and his corporal. As a result, Kuwait declared a state of emergency and the borders were sealed. No more border for you. Immediately after, Mubarak Abdullah al-Jama al-Shaba and his deputy Brigadier General Sheikh Shahel Muhammad al-Shaba mobilized the Kuwaiti armed forces and led the development towards the border with Iraq in preparation for the worst. The Kuwaiti Combat Quick Reaction Force contingent was led by a Kuwaiti colonel assisted by a lieutenant colonel, consisting of elements of the Kuwaiti Army and the Kuwaiti Air Force. The Combat Reaction Force included a commando force led by the Kuwaiti lieutenant colonel, being combat supported by an armored tank brigade and 2 supersonic English Electric Lightning fighter aircraft who were tasked with engaging the area of conflict as required and remain acting as an armed air vanguard patroller and monitor for the area from Qasar in the east to Safwan in the west. Wait, Safwan like Safwan Dam? But Qasar. In response to the assembling of the Kuwaiti armed forces by Mubarak and Shahel. Don't they both have Shahel in their name? Shabab. The Iraqi authorities issued a statement at 1300 hours on the 20th of March 1973 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, claiming that the Kuwaiti forces were the aggressors, which were intruding on Iraqi territory, while Iraqi military units were conducting military drills, and as a result, the Iraqi military responded with force. In response, Kuwait authorities issued a similar statement, claiming that the assault on the Shanita post was an assault on Kuwaiti territory and subsequently an assault on Kuwait. In addition, the Kuwaiti statement added that the assault occurred during the time when Kuwait was expecting and, well, being very excited for an Iraqi delegation from Iraq to come to Kuwait and settle the demarcation of borders between the two countries, based on the agreement that Baghdad signed on the 4th of October 1963. Now, the Iraqi government proposed that the Iraqi military and the military of Kuwait should pull back 10 kilometers from the assaulted post. Accordingly, Kuwaiti authorities refused this proposal and proposition and requested the Arab League to demand from Iraq to pull back their forces to the demarcation line set by the Arab League forces during Operation Vantage. Also, Kuwaiti authorities insisted on the withdrawal of all Iraqi military units from the Shanita border post and also demanded to settle the demarcation of the border between Kuwait and Iraq. Consequently, the border dispute was shaping to be governed by a political resolution once again from the Middle East, and these are actually one of the last times it would be governed by such means, as we can see in 1980, things won't be so, clear-cut and demarcated with peace. So yeah, count your blessings. These are one of the last very formal demarcations. I think the Algiers Agreement between Iran and Iraq were probably one of the last, but with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope it was interesting for you as it was for me. And until then, I will see you pretty much next time. But until next time, stay safe, learn something, and bye-bye. And make sure to learn something and always be on guard, but always be ready to give up what you love most. No. That's for the other one. This one is, I should say, watch your back because the enemy of my enemy is looking at me deliciously because they think I'm the 11th province of Iraq. Yep, with that, enjoy, learn something.